Fingerstyle fursday. Hi kids. So today's piece is in E minor and there's a couple of things to talk about. All I've tried to do is basically take a 3-chord progression. E minor, D major, C major, and spice up those chords massively by just reworking them a little bit. So that's all that's really going on in this piece. We have an E minor, a D and a C, just the voicings massively reworked from 1, knowing your chord shapes on the neck, and 2, knowing what notes you can play around in the key. It's all very useful. The other thing that we've got going on is that rundown that we start off with. Now that is basically a double stop rundown. And I've talked about double stops lots and lots of times before, but it's basically a note from your scale harmonized with another note from your scale. It's 2 notes, double stops. Let's talk about that big double stop rundown first. Now, first of all, if you've never seen those kind of shapes before, I play them all in the context of C. Same physical shapes, but I talk a little bit more about them, and that is Fingerstyle fursday number 36. Came prepared this time, knew my numbers. So have a look at Fingerstyle fursday number 36 to check out those shapes. Now basically, because I'm in the key of E minor, I can either use an E minor scale or a G major scale. They're both the same thing. So all I'm doing is running down my G major scale, playing G, F sharp, E, D, C. That's a lie, I play B at the end instead. Now basically, I know that on each chord you can harmonize, okay? And these are called our diatonic chords, or harmonizing the major scale. So on the first chord you can harmonize, and that makes it a major. Now when I say major, it's because that note, which is a B, is a major third away. It's the next note of a G major chord. So that's a major harmony there. For my F sharp, chord 7 is usually a diminished chord, but if we're only using 2 notes, it's a minor, so I'm harmonizing minor there. Minor third. Then chord 6, E, is always a minor as well, so I'm harmonizing minor again. Chord 5 is always a major, so I'm harmonizing major. And then basically chord 3, when I'm going to B, would also be a minor. What the fuck is all that, mate? As I said, they're called diatonic chords, or harmonizing your major scale. It's where you take your major scale and then you add notes on top of it, and that's how we get chords and harmony. It's all about that. Crazy important if you want to learn to improvise, or if you want to learn how chords come together. It's basically a big jigsaw that then is magically fixed together. Anyway, so those double stops would sound like a G major, F sharp minor, E minor, D major, and then I can't quite get to a B on the ukulele because it's C tuning, so C major is there. And all I do is basically just take that low note and take it up an octave so it ends up on the first string. So for example, the harmony in G is 7, 7 and 7, there we go. 7th on the 3rd, 7th on the 2nd, it's a G and a B. So I take my low G and I put it on the first string, which would be the 10th fret, and then I keep my B there. And that's where that little shape comes from. So that's your major shape, your minor shape, F sharp minor, E minor, D major. And that's just where they come from. So that's how I've thought about that. That requires a lot more explanation, but if you're interested in theory, then I always suggest having a good look at it. So we're going to play these in groups of 3. There's 16th notes again, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, but I believe if you count them in 3s, it's easier because that's what we're playing. So this first shape is 10, 7, and then I'm going to play an open G string. So I'm basically going to use my middle finger to play the first string, my index finger to play the second string, and then my thumb to play the fourth, which is technically 1 E and, but like I said, I suggest counting it 1, 2, 3. You then move to your next shape, which is a 9 and a 5. And you will pick that exactly the same. 1, 2, 4. Then we move down to a 7th fret 3rd. And that will pick 1, 2, 4 again. And then we move to 5 and 2. And you pick that the same. Now these have to be constant. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So once we've picked those shapes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, we're going to bar the 2nd fret on the 1st and 2nd strings, 1, 2, 3. And then you've got two options. You can either basically remove all your fingers and just pluck the 1st string, and that's a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can sort of almost start to put your ring finger down as you position yourself for this E minor chord next. But either way, for that last open note, either get rid of it or just you can stop barring and move your finger up like that. But if you can, getting rid of your hand, it'll be easier. So for that entire rundown, you can always see I'm always using my index finger and my pinky to run down those kids. So I recommend that. And again, Fingerstyle for number 36. Good one for getting used to that. Now for the main chords, I said it's basically an E minor, a D, and a C, just with some slightly stranger versions of them, that's all. So for the E minor chord, you can play me an E minor, but then you're gonna flip me off and remove your middle finger. So you have an open 2nd string. Now the pattern that we're gonna play 3, 2, 1, 4, which is 1, E and A. 3, 2, 1, 4, and then 3, 2, 1. Now, again, these are 16th notes, so I'm counting this as 1, E, and 2, E, and So on the 2, you have basically a break. 1, E, and 2, E, and And in strings, that would be 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. That nod was a nice rest nod. 3, 2, 1, 4, rest, 3, 2, 1. That's our right hand fingerstyle. So in each bar, we're going to be able to get that pattern twice because it's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, and then we have 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So we have to play that once and then straight away again. So we go 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And that's our pattern. So our next chord then basically comes from this shape here. This is a D major chord. You might know it as a B flat, but if you move it to the 5th fret, it's a D major. Now there's two ways of playing that. You either remove the bar, so you're still using your ring finger and your middle finger, and you've got basically open first 2 strings, or you can use your middle finger and your index finger to play 6 and 7, open there. Work out which one feels much more comfortable for you, and that's the one you use. So we're going to use the exact same right hand pattern. 3, 2, 1, 4, rest, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, rest, 3, 2, 1. I've called that a D add 9, and because it is basically a D chord, there's just an extra E in it, which is a D add 9. So our next chord is this chord, a very nice C major 7. So all I'm doing here is I'm barring the 7th fret on the 1st and 2nd strings. Now, you don't have to bar it. You could play that as with your ring finger and your middle finger. You could play with your index and your middle. Whatever, just again, have a play around so it's much more comfortable. But for me, barring is the most comfortable there. And again, we're going to play the same. 3, 2, 1, 4, rest, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, rest, 3, 2. And then actually we're going to rest there. So you're going to give yourself breathing room because we then have to go straight back into that riff. So from that C major 7, we end up going 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and you've got all the time in the world to do whatever you want. Then we come to our riff. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and But like I said, counting it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Might be easier, or you might completely disagree with me and be like, shut up, mate. I want to go 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Both are right, mate. Do whatever you want. Absolutely knock yourself out. Okay, super. So that's it then. So after we do that riff, we're back into our E minor for a bar. And our next chord then is another fragmented D chord. This one is a D sus2, but with an extra B in it. So let's talk about how we get that shape. So this chord shape is the ring finger on the 4th fret of the 1st string, and then the index finger on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. So you have 4, 2, 0, 0. Like I said, I call that a D sus2, but he's got a B in it as well, so we're keeping it simple. Now, same pattern again, 3, 2, 1, 4, rest, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, rest, 3, 2, 1. And then finally, we're jumping up to this chord here, which is a C major 7 at sharp 11. Oh, he's got a big fancy name. Now, the way I play this is your index finger goes on the 7th fret 2nd string. So that means you have a G, C, B, which is sort of a C major 7. And then we have an F sharp, which is a sharp 11. The F is the 11th note of C. So an F sharp is the sharp 11th note of C. So that's where it's a C major 7, add sharp 11, because you're adding the F sharp on top of it. Spicy. Now, on this C major 7, sharp 11, we're going to play the exact, basically same pattern that we did in the C major 7. So you give yourself a little bit of breathing room at the end. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And again, because then we have the riff to end. And that's it, okay? So always give yourself a bit of breathing room. But between, the reason I bar the C major 7 is because then getting to the rundown, you're pretty much there. And the same from your C major 7 and you there. And then to get to the rundown, it's just from there. So they're easy transitions. Because that transition comes quite quick, you want to make going into that chord very easy for yourself, and you don't want to panic, because if you panic, then running down that quickly isn't going to go well. And that's it. As usual, always take these exercises very, very, very slowly, because you just need to get your hands used to the weird chord shapes that you're probably not used to. But again, any of these chords are like substitutes for E minor, D and C. But the C major sharp 11 is a bit more spicy, so you'll know when you can and can't use him. But that's it. If you're interested in talking or learning about more theory, every month on Patreon I do at least one theory lesson, and then I do one lesson based on techniques. I also talk lots about it in workshops and stuff, so you can always go check out my Patreon. That's where the PDF sheets for Fingerstyle Thursdays always are, but like I said, I'm always talking a bit more about theory and how it goes on the ukulele. Super! If this lesson has been helpful and you've enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you as always next Thursday. Goodbye.